Welcome to the Daily Dev Talk with me, Adrian Nantchev, where we explore and share experiences, stories, and lessons 7 days a week from across the games industry, helping you make the best game you can. Stay tuned for today's episode. Good morning, Overload Nation. Welcome to another episode of the Daily Dev Talk, talking to game developers from across the world to bring you experiences, stories, and lessons 7 days a week. Today, I'm joined with Ramiro Bazan from Great Cogs to talk about their game, or his game even, Vox Populi Vox Day 2. Ramiro, talk about yourself first, please, and how you got into the games industry.
Okay, I've started developing games when I was 18 years old. I I got a degree in Argentina, a video games developer degree, and I started working in a video games company called Three Melons that unfortunately it doesn't exist anymore in Argentina. And then I worked for Disney in Argentina too. And 2 years ago, I moved to Denmark to work in a video games company here. So actually, right now, I'm living with my wife in Denmark and working for this company.
Okay, cool. So you've been all over, you say, and you're now living in Denmark as opposed to Argentina.
Yeah, the thing is that my partner in this company called Cogs is from Argentina,
Hmm.
and I was working there, and then I moved here. So we have to split the company in two parts.
Okay. Have you worked on any other games before?
I made in this company called Three Melons, we used to make advert gaming, like video games for marketing and publicity.
Hmm. Ah.
And when the company got big enough, we started making Facebook games, and we
Hmm.
made two big games. One was called Bola, that was a football game like soccer in USA. Um, and it had like 2 or 3 million users. And then I made another game called Gans. It was I don't remember the name because we use a code name, but it was a mafia game. Like you own a city and you have to increase the size of the city and fight against another users.
Hmm. Okay, sounds interesting. Business simulator of sorts.
Hmm.
So let's talk about Great Cogs.
Yes.
You mentioned briefly it's you and a partner.
Yes, we are two guys. The guy that made the art of the game, and me, that I'm the programmer.
Hmm. And you don't use anyone else at all? No outsourcing at all? And
For Vox Populi Vox Day 2, we got some help from a friend of mine that is called Hernan Marandino. That is a musician, and he made all the sounds and music for the game. It's like original soundtrack that the game
hmm.
has. Uh,
Okay.
so for this game we were two, and at the end he joined the adventure of making the game.
Hmm. Um. And how long has Great Cogs been around then? Because obviously this is indie, and this is totally going on it on your own without doing AAA or So how long has it been around?
We started the company the last year when we decided to make Vox Populi. That
Hmm.
was in June or from 2014. So we created this small indie studio to make Vox Populi possible.
Uh-huh. Okay, that sounds that's amazing. Not barely over a year old. That's cool.
Hmm.
So let's talk about Vox Populi Vox Day 2. So as the name suggests, especially if you speak Latin, that's episode 2.
Yes.
So let's talk about that game and what you wanted the player to experience in it.
Well, this game continues a game that a friend of us made in Congregate like 4 or 6 years ago. That was Vox Populi Vox Day, werewolves thriller. It was a platform game where you control the same ninja that you control in our game. So the the story behind this game is that my friend that is called Pablo Werensuk, he wasn't able to make this game, and he really wanted to, and we got the green light approval. So we decided to start all over the project again. So we started making the game from scratch because we didn't have anything. And the idea of the game is that a ninja is living in a werewolf war, and in the first episode you can see that the art and all the game is really minimalistic, but we wanted to change that because we thought that releasing a game without art and sound wasn't it wasn't going to be good enough to be released on Steam. So the idea was to create a new kind of experience, but always uh, being related to the original game. We didn't try we tried to not change so much the concept that my friend Werensu presented.
That's really cool. I found that's really cool. I found the game very unique in its own way. It was difficult. I like the sounds. Level design at the start is like it's a bit easy. Jump over a few things, and all of a sudden there's werewolves everywhere. And I didn't know they were werewolves. I thought they were just like oh, I forgot what it's called now. Just wolves, walking wolves. I had no indication, no evidence to suggest that they were werewolves. And also they have machine guns as well. So what's this all about?
The thing is that the 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 original idea that the first episode presented was a more how do you say humanized werewolf. But if you play the first game in Congregate, I don't know. Maybe you are going to put a peep, but the werewolf used to
Hmm.
have a penis. So we removed
Right.
that because it was really weird. But I didn't took I didn't take that decision. It was my the first guy. So the idea in the game is that how do you say is that it's like the level design didn't have it. We didn't put any restriction to the level design. So if we wanted to make a werewolf riding a magic horse, we will do it. If we want a werewolf that shoot bullet from the chest, we are going to do it.
Mm.
So that is a good thing and also a really bad thing because it's really easy to lose the control of what are you doing.
Yeah, and then it can get a bit weird
Ex-
with all
exactly.
sorts of things everywhere.
Yeah,
Mm.
also if you check the comments from the users in the forums, you can see that a lot of users love the fact that the game change all the time,
Right.
but a lot of users also hate me and wish me a huge and really painful death.
Mm-hmm. Sounds quite typical.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, I can sympathise with both because if the game kept changing, it's inconsistent, and you're not getting what what's this? What's happening? Why is it doing this? I was expecting RPG. Suddenly we got
Yeah.
suddenly got an RTS or something. It's a bit odd.
Yeah, also the first game, the duration of the first game was 15 minutes and we put like 2 hours of gameplay, and I think that you cannot use the same mechanics all the time. So we
Mm.
needed to reinvent a little bit what we were doing.
Oh, interesting. Ah, what can you expand on that a little bit at all? You said cannot use same mechanics all the time.
Yeah, for example, what we try to do is to not focus all the time in the platformer game. Sorry. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so if you start playing, you can see it in the trailer that after a few levels, you are going to start playing a side scroller shooter. You are riding a beard and you're shooting
Riding
a beard.
right. Oh, what a beard? A
Yes,
beard?
yes. And then
Uh,
you're flying in the sky and shooting another werewolves. So we changed the gameplay once. Then if you play a little bit more, you have like I think that you can see it in the trailer too. You can You have a level that is totally all the level layout is totally invisible, so you have to use the blood
Oh.
to show the pattern and
Ew.
find the exit. Uh,
Oh, that sounds difficult indeed.
mhm.
Interesting use of mechanic though, because I noticed that in the game, the blood system when you die is seems more complicated than just having a prefixed, just red everywhere. It's that's pretty cool.
Yeah, the what I did is I expanded a little bit the algorithm that my friend used in the first game. So it's like the blood collides with the actual level
Exactly. That was cool.
and paints everything. And
I noticed that.
yeah, so
So Ramiro, when it came to promoting the game, what strategies worked for you and what didn't work so well?
this is one of the weak spots in our company because we started the game and we totally forgot about marketing and making the game viral, like viralize the game.
Mm-hmm.
So we discovered that this is one of the most important things that you have to do when you are releasing a game. You have to sell it
Mm.
before having the game. So you
Yeah.
have to share trailers, teasers, images, videos. You have to share from with Twitter, Facebook, and you have to be really really active in the Steam community because one of the problems that you can find in what happened with Vox Populi is actually we got 6,000 votes in Greenlight, but uh, not all the people that vote in Greenlight knows that Vox Populi has been released because we
Hmm.
didn't communicate that
Oh, interesting.
in a proper way. So what
That.
so what we are doing right now is we are trying to make it happen because we are a little bit late, but it's not uh, late enough. I don't know.
That is amazing. That's really weird because today I was looking at ways and researching ways that I could use social media and marketing so as to push Game Overload and get other people hearing about it and getting a bigger audience for Daily Dev Talk and getting more people to the shop gameoverload.co.uk, my Steam store.
Hmm.
And I also thinking because this is episode 24, an unintended consequence of talking to loads of game devs is I'm thinking in the future of starting a game development studio again. Because I used to be a dev, an animator, but not so much no more. Still animating, but not as much. So thinking of starting a studio in the future, probably a few months from now when Game Overload grows, and I was planning on doing something like a game every 6 months. And I was thinking of neglecting the marketing side and just release the game, get some practice, get general skills and blah blah, see what happens. And then you've mentioned this, like most as you said, most important, and you even forgot about it. And the weak spots, like wow, highlighting the importance, the utter magnitude of marketing. And some of the things you've said, other people have said before, like 5 to 6 months before the release date, they have images, screenshot Saturday, active. I didn't think of the Steam community though. That's something very worthwhile. And I recently discovered on Reddit there's a subreddit called Game Dev, which shares experiences, stories, tutorials, and such with other game developers across the world. So I can see the magnitude, importance of marketing and getting the name out there. So I agree with you on that. How did you go about funding the game?
Well, actually, we didn't have any money to fund the game, so what we did is to work in other companies and do the game in our extra time, like free time. So right now I'm working in this company in Denmark, and my friend Federico is the artist is working in another company in Argentina. So we use the free time that we have at night and on the weekends.
Hmm.
So
Okay, I understand.
so for the next game we are going to try to use some kind of cross crowdfunding campaign, but
Hmm.
we want to have a really good product to show instead of trying to sell an idea.
Aha, okay.
So we started with this with the next episode and we are going to start the marketing campaign after having something that we can show and be proud of.
Mm-hmm.
But for this game, we didn't have any kind of funding.
Okay. So, what was cut from the game and why?
Yeah, uh, s you know this, but making a game is a like a endless story, like the movie. So
Mm-hmm.
if you start making the game, you are not going to be satisfied enough. So you have to put an end and say, okay, this is enough. So, for example, in one of the final parts of the game, you are fighting a giant monster, and the idea was to play inside the monster after a while, like having like 15 levels with different puzzles. But that was in January, and then we discovered that we are not going to finish this game if we start adding more and more features. So we have to start cutting things, and one of the things was the final, the extra level based on all that you were going to play inside the a living structure. But what was too crazy to make it happen, and also releasing the game in April. So we have to cancel that part. But what I noticed, this is the first game that I made alone with a friend, and what I noticed is that you have to like think twice before making the stuff, because it could be a, a road without an end. So you're not going to finish the game just because you keep adding and adding and adding and adding more features. So one of the things that we removed was that crazy thing that we thought, and we modified that version, and we put this puzzle that I told you, that you have to use the blood to discover the path to follow.
Mm.
So we modified the version, so we removed some craziness and we implemented that.
That sounds like a heck of a game mechanic, where the player cannot see the environment.
Mhm.
That's very difficult. So, what was the biggest thing you learnt while working on the game?
Uh, to be patient,
Wow. Okay.
you have to. It's, you don't have to get crazy, and you have to be patient, and everything is going to work at the end.
Hmm.
You don't have to hurry. You don't have to try to you don't have to try to deliver the game without being proud of it. So if you are not happy enough with the game that you are making, you should not release it.
Yeah, I get you. One thing, one thing I felt was that if you, as a game developer, will not play it, if you will not play it, you will not pay for it.
Yes, that's right.
That's what I think. If you're not, if you're not happy with it, if you won't play it, you won't pay for it. So I feel also if you make the game that you will want to play, then your target audience, whoever they are, even if they're like you, they will pay for it.
Yeah, that's something that happens very often when you are working for a company and you are
Mm.
making games that you are not proud of.
Oh, I understand.
And it's like, yeah, I'm just coding, but it's not something that comes from your heart. It's really.
I understand. Yeah, I understand. So, what was the worst thing that happened, and how did you overcome it?
Uh, well, actually, the worst thing that happened in two things happened in the Vox Populi development. One was is game related. When I started introducing the Steam library to our game to be able to use the achievements and stats and all that, it was so difficult and no documentation at all. So
Mm.
I got so crazy at the moment. And the other thing that happened was that when I was developing Vox Populi, I had to leave away from my wife because she had to go back to Argentina, and that was really really tough because I had to concentrate in the game, but at the same time I was really really worried and sad because she was away. So that I think that was the worst part of making Vox Populi because it was so tough to do it. But that
Mm.
but it's not game related at all.
No, I understand though. I understand. What was your best game dev purchase? Whether it was a software license, a top quality piece of hardware or equipment, or simply could be a comfortable chair and a good desk.
Well, actually, for Vox Populi, the only thing that we bought was the Adobe Suite license, and then we decided to use open source tools. So for the coding, I'm using an open source IDE, and the only one that is using licenses for the software that he's using is the artist because he's using Maya and Photoshop and After Studio. So he's using all the entire Adobe suite. So we only that we made the game.
Oh, cool. Okay. And do you have any game developer related books, lectures, or learning resources that you can recommend?
Well, actually, I I discovered that the most important book that you have is internet because when you have a problem and you're developing a game, it's very common to have somebody that already have that problem before.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy of having internet right now. I don't know how the old school programmers used to do it.
Yeah, so there's nothing wrong with learning from mistakes, but if you can learn from the mistakes of others, that saves you a lot more time. And the internet, I agree with that. Every now and then, when I have a topic that I want to look into, like marketing, for example, or selling or stuff like that, just type it in: how to use such and such to sell, how to market, so on and so forth. Open up the first top five results and read what there is, and cherry pick what you think is relevant or important to you,
Hmm.
because I find that sometimes the stuff is sometimes it can contradict each other, but at the same time you take it or leave it. There's the information for you, freely available. You take it or leave it. That's what I think is one of the cool things about the internet.
Yeah, I use so much the forums like how is Stack Overflow is Stack Overflow. Sorry, Stack Over.
Stack.
Yeah,
Stack Overflow.
stackoverflow.com. One that is my favorite question forum. All the things that happen to me, it's happened to someone else there.
Okay, cool. So, what advice can you give to aspiring game developers, small indie studios, and people trying to get to where you are today?
Well, as I say before, you have to keep working on what you're doing and don't pay attention to what other people say. Just follow what you think that is correct. And it's very common to fail at the beginning, but you have to keep doing it because
Hmm.
it's what we love, right? So
Cool. That is really cool. That's amazing because you mentioned keep working, so it's persistence. So I agree with. Then you mentioned avoid worrying about what other people say. So avoiding and preventing the fear of criticism from taking over you. And I agree with that. Follow your gut as well. So this is some amazingly original advice here, especially that keep working, the persistence. I think a lot of people would give up on the first sign of the defeat or first opportunity to move on or things like that.
yeah, it's I consider that a video game is a piece of art. So you're
Mm,
going to have people that is going to hate it, and you're going to have people that's going to love it. So it's impossible to make something that everybody's going to love.
yeah,
You can
I
you
understand.
can see that in AAA products that you can play in a PlayStation. It's like a lot
Hmm.
of people love them and a lot of people hate them, and you don't control that. So you have to do something that you are proud of. And if you're happy with the game that you made, and just as you say, if you play your game,
You will pay for
you
it.
will pay for it, and somebody is going to pay for it, and you're going to have a success.
Cool, I agree, definitely. So, Ramiro Bazan, what is next for you, and what's the best way to contact you?
Well, right now we are working in the third episode of Vox Populi Vox today. We are expecting to have a release at the end, maybe next year in the United States. It's going to be autumn, I think. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe June or July from next year. And you can find us on Twitter in GreekCogs. You can find it in our website, greekcogsgames.com, or you can search us and find us in Facebook. You can search for Vox Populi Vox Day Episode 2, and you're going to find us. And
Okay,
also in Steam if you want to buy your game.
no doubt, no doubt. So, Ramiro, it appears that we're out of time for this episode of the Daily Dev Talk. It was great talking to you and some original ideas and things worthwhile considering for other studios and things worthwhile remembering.
Okay, thank you very much.
I wish you well on episode 3. I'm looking forward to playing that.
Yeah, thank you.
Stay tuned, Overload Nation. More Daily Dev Talks to come. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Daily Dev Talk with me, Adrian Nantchev. If you are a game developer that wants to get your name and game out there and to share your experiences and stories, or you have feedback or opinions of the show, then contact me at info@gameoverload.co.uk. That's info@gameoverload.co.uk. Stay tuned for tomorrow's episode, more to come.